Javier's eyes narrowed, and he paused, his expression unreadable. He scoffed at Amelia's accusation. Jealous? Don't be ridiculous. I just want you to stop lying to me and yourself about a man you claim you no longer care about. Yet, go back to at every turn. Amelia whispered in a nervous panic. Shh, he's still on the phone. Amelia jutted her hand out to snatch her phone back from Javier and accidentally yanked the IV out of her arm in the process, causing the IV tower to come tumbling toward her. Amelia, careful. Javier dove across her to stop the metal bar from crashing onto her head and caught it, landing on top of her in the bed. He looked down at their precarious position. His face was a mere 2 inches from hers, giving him a front-row seat to her cheeks turning red with embarrassment. Must you be so reckless? Just then, his hand came up toward her face, and she instinctively closed her eyes and held her breath. But the caress she was expecting never came. Instead, Javier had reached above her head to press the call button and got back on his feet.
Is everything okay, Miss Rivera?
Can a nurse please come and reinsert Miss Rivera's IV? Javier instructed coolly.
Of course, Your Highness,
came the swift reply. Javier glanced at her with a smug stare. Did you close your eyes? What did you think was going to happen? Amelia felt foolish for thinking he was going in for a kiss when he had just leaned in to reach the call button. She turned and buried herself under the blanket. First, you accuse the prince of being jealous, and then you assume he wants to make out with you in your sickbed. Such an idiot. Soon after the nurse arrived and Amelia obediently extended her arm so the nurse could reinsert the IV needle. Miss Rivera, please avoid moving too much so it doesn't get ripped out again. The insertion point is very swollen and irritated, the nurse gently reminded her. Hearing this, Javier glanced over at the deep purple bruise on her arm, and his brow knitted together. Amelia caught his disapproving look and glared at him. If he had given her phone back when she asked, she wouldn't have yanked out the needle in the first place. Once the nurse was done, Javier excused himself. Well, I won't force you to endure the company of an insufferable egomaniac. Amelia frowned. Javier, I really didn't mean... Good night, Amelia. He left before Amelia could apologize for the harsh words he wasn't meant to hear. Left alone, Amelia poked at the bland dinner on her plate. The dish was nutritious but tasted as lifeless as she felt. Javier had joked he'd entice her to eat, but she doubted he'd return tonight after they got into yet another fight about Charles. Feeling the room was too quiet now, she dialed Faith's number. She could use a pick-me-up, and her best friend's voice always did just that.
Hey, lady. Hey, did you know the prince was at the office looking for you today?
Amelia sighed and proceeded to regale Faith with the story of her nightmare day. Everything from her illness to getting bitch-slapped with Sophie's pregnancy news.
Okay, so Charles is dead to us, but tell me more about how Javier carried you superhero style out of your ex's place. Did he really turn his mansion into a private medical unit for you?
Amelia had a feeling Faith would fixate on that part. He just didn't want me to end up stuck in a hospital quarantine ward, away from Max for weeks. Faith paused for a moment, thinking.
Are you sure he did all that just for Max? Hear me out. What if the prince is falling for you?
Her best friend had been brainwashed by too many Hollywood rom-coms. Trust me, he's not. He cares for me because he thinks of me as family.
Girl, since when do you straddle your family and make out with them?
Amelia buried herself in her hands. I regret telling you about that. Faith was confident in her romantic intuition, and while her friend was brilliant when it came to many things, she was inexperienced when it came to dating and men. So she wasn't going to give up that easily.
Ames, from what you say, it sounds like the man can't keep his royal hands off you.
Amelia relented. Fine. There may be an attraction between us, but that physical stuff is surface level. It doesn't equate to real emotions, right? She said, not entirely convinced of it herself.
Emotions aside, does it feel good?
The image of Javier gripping her hips while capturing her lips flashed into her mind, and her fever rose. It feels too good. With Javier, everything is intense and all-consuming. It seemed Faith would have to walk her friend through this.
And who was the last guy you felt that with?
There was silence on the other end as Amelia calculated. I've never felt this before.
Then you owe it to yourself to let loose and enjoy yourself with him.
Amelia was afraid of how complicated that sounded. But he's Max's father. I can't indulge with him. Faith wished she could shake some sense into her friend. Or perhaps she needed to shake the sense out of her. Amelia was too sensible for her own good.
You're too amazing to live like a nun. Go be messy with your heartthrob of a baby daddy and don't overthink it.
Amelia laid back against the pillow. Was Faith right? She couldn't believe she was actually considering this.
I'm gonna visit my sick friend tomorrow to keep you company and judge the chemistry for myself. Put me on the royal visitors list, please.
Amelia smiled, shaking her head. All right. See you soon. Later that night, Amelia drifted to sleep to the sound of the crickets, which were more prominent by the pool house. Out the sliding glass doors was a serene view of the pool reflecting the moon's glow. It felt as if this were the best room in the house. At some point in the middle of the night, Amelia felt one of the nurses come to adjust her IV, and she stirred awake. Except when the sleep left her eyes, it wasn't a nurse she saw, but Javier's figure standing in his loungewear and robe. What was he doing there? Was he sleepwalking? She shifted her gaze down and realized his hand was gently holding a warm compress to the swollen bruise on her arm. His kind gesture caught her completely off guard, and she felt a warmth swell in her chest. She stayed quiet, taking in the sight of him as he removed the compress and started to massage the swollen area with his long fingers. It felt nice. There was a tenderness in his eyes as he continued his thoughtful ministrations, unaware Amelia was awake, watching him. She gazed up at him with misty eyes, and her sleepy voice broke the silence with an apology. Javier, I don't think you're insufferable. He turned to her with a soft, knowing grin, and she let out a kitten-like yawn before adding, I mean, you are insufferable, but I don't mind it much anymore. A low chuckle escaped his lips. I know. His gaze lingered on her for a moment, unreadable and deep. How are you feeling? Better, thanks to you. She reached for the hand he was massaging her with and tangled her fingers with his. Her unexpected show of affection sent a rush of heat through him, and he moved to sit by her on the bed. His eyes deepened, and he leaned in closer. Amelia, if you don't let go, I'm going to have to kiss you. Perhaps it was the cough medicine that made her loopy, or Faith's words of encouragement ringing in her head. But just then, she tightened her hand around his, as if to challenge him. His eyes lit up dangerously when he registered what she'd done. Without another word, Javier leaned in and captured her lips in a kiss. The softness of her lips against his sent a jolt through his chest, stirring something within. She hooked her fingers around the neckline of his shirt and pulled him closer, deepening the kiss. This one small action drove him wild, and a groan left his lips as he fought the urge to part her robe and have her right there. Her eyes fluttered open, and she admired the magnetic face so close to hers. But suddenly, a realization hit her like a splash of cold water, and she stopped. "No, I'm sick, I'll infect you," she stammered, breathless from the kiss. He pulled away, his voice tinged with amusement as he traced her lower lip with his thumb. "Then we'll quarantine together and keep each other company." She knitted her brow with concern, and he knew she'd be too anxious about getting him sick if he stayed. "All right, I'll go." He looked down at their fingers still intertwined. "But first, tell me, Charles, are you pursuing an affair with him?" Amelia exhaled, her heart heavy. Of course not. I ran into him at the hospital and I was too sick to go anywhere but with him. That's all." Javier searched deep into her eyes. "Do you still want to be with him?" Her eyelashes trembled, and after a moment's hesitation, she whispered, "That's irrelevant. He's getting married." Javier tightened his gaze. "And if he weren't?" Amelia paused. "You know the situation with Sophie and the baby. Charles is a good man. He'll marry her." "That wasn't what I asked," Javier said, his voice firm. "If there was no Sophie and no baby, would you want him?" Javier was still waiting on the results from the pregnancy test he asked Manuel to run on Sophie's blood sample. But if his hunch was right, and he's almost always right when it comes to reading people's chess moves, then the results would come back negative. He wasn't looking forward to breaking up Sophie and Charles's engagement, which could land Amelia in her ex's arms. But deep down, guilt told him he still owed Amelia the chance to get Charles back, if she was in love with him. Javier just prayed that it wasn't the case. Amelia wasn't sure how to answer Javier's question, but she went with what her gut told her. "At this point, my heart has shattered too much." Seeming satisfied with her response, the prince nodded. The tension in his brows eased, and the faintest trace of a smile flickered at the corners of his lips when he joked, "Do you want me to fire him for you?" Amelia rolled her eyes. "Don't do that. Life has punished him enough by saddling him with Sophie." She thought for a moment, then raised a brow. "Hey, why did you hire Charles anyway? To mess with me?" Javier gave a sly shrug. "He is very good at what he does, but I also find it helpful to keep troublesome family members close." She shook her head, about to tell him how scheming he was, when his lips suddenly found hers again, stealing her words with a kiss that was more gentle than before. He pulled away without a word, kissing her forehead, and retreated back to the house. Amelia didn't know what to make of the night. His tender care, their kissing, and stolen touches. If she gave in to them, would it lead to more? She decided then and there to give Faith's advice a chance. She would put an end to overthinking and stop resisting their attraction to each other. The only question was, would it lead to something good or ruin?
To find out what happens next, download the Pocket FM app in the next minute to get free access to all episodes of The Royal Accident for free.